Hello everyone and welcome to the channel, and this will be part 2 of our video series of making AI e-commerce app. And in this video we are going to work on the user authentication part. Okay, so let's go to our schema.prisma, and here I'll define our schema here. So one second, I think I need to add Prisma here. Okay. Okay, so it's done, and now we can see some colors over here. Okay, so this is the schema that we are going to use for our app. Now here first we have some roles, which is buyer, seller, admin. We are not going to use admin for now, but for the completeness of this app, I added admin as well. Okay, then we have user model, which works for both credential based authentication and Google Auth. Okay, so we have name, email, password, image, role, and other stuff. Okay, then we have account. Basically, this is used for the Google Auth, then session. After that, we have seller model, and okay, so basically a user can be seller here, and this is the schema of that seller model. Okay, then we have product. We are going to have title, description, price, category, image URLs as well, in case if you are uploading multiple URLs or generating with the AI. Then seller ID. Okay, and then reviews. So product can have multiple reviews. So this is the review model. Same thing here, that we are going to provide product and user ID, review name, reviewer name, and then rating, comment, and other stuff. After that, we are going to have order status. So we have pending, paid, processing, shipped, delivered, failed, refunded, cancelled. So these are the statuses we have for the order, and then we lastly we have order model. So in this we are going to store Stripe session ID, charge ID, total amount, status. By default it is going to be pending, and the items in the form of JSON, and then after that user ID who placed the order, and then customer email, phone, and other stuff. Okay, so these are the models that we are going to use here in our application. And after saving that, we can just go here and cd server, and we can write npx prisma generate. So this will generate the Prisma client, and let's also push this to our database. So we can write npx prisma db push. Okay. Okay, so everything is fine, and our database is now synced with this schema. So now let's see if we got our tables in the database. So here you can see in our database, we have account, order, product, review, seller, recession, and user. So we have successfully made the tables in a database, and now we can start working on our authentication part. So now let's go to SRC folder, and here make a folder name controllers, and inside that first we are going to make auth controller file. So ts. Okay, and here we are going to do all the things related to the authentication. And now before working on the auth controller, we are going to go to the config and make one more file, name env.ts. So basically we are going to get the environment variables value from our env file and export through this. Okay, and here we are going to import .env slash config, and after that we are going to make a function to get the environment variables value from this file. Okay, so we can write function get env, and this will take the key, which will be a type of string, and then it will return a string. Okay, And in this function, we are basically going to get the values from our env file, store that inside value, and if the value is null or it is empty, then we are going to throw this error. Otherwise, we are going to return this value. So this is the function to get the environment variables value. We are going to make one more function to get the environment variables value, which is optional. Okay, so for this, we are going to have this function, and here we do not actually have to check for these. Okay, so here you can see that I'm exporting this env as a constant, and inside that we are exporting these values. Okay, so after this we can go to the auth controller and use those values. Okay, so first we are going to import our imports. Okay, so I imported a Prisma from config, and this will be, I think, ts. One second. uh, Config slash env.js. Okay, so we have imported our environment variables, and we also imported the Prisma from our db, and now we need to install these two packages in order to go with our authentication. So we can write npm I bcrypt and JSON web token. And then we also have this Google auth URL, Google token URL, and Google user info URL, which we are going to use here. So first we are going to define our register function here, and still giving this error. So we need to install types as well. Okay, so this will remove our any issues. Okay, so let's define our registration function or register function. So first, this is how we are going to define the function. We are exporting that function, which is a async function, and then we have request and response as the parameters. Okay, and then now we are going to use try and catch block here. I'm going to actually paste the codes here and explain to you guys rather than writing myself. This will be much faster, and yeah, the tutorial will be much shorter. First, we are going to get email, password, and name from our form, basically from the request body, which we are getting from the front end. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to get from request body. After that, we are going to check if we have email or a password or not. Okay, so we need both email and password. Okay, and after that we are going to check if this user already exists in our database or not. To check if user exists in our database or not, we can use prisma.user.findUnique and pass our email, because email is a unique field in our model. And if it does exist, then we are going to return this error that an account with this email already exists. Okay, and if it does not exist, then we are going to go ahead and make that user. Okay, so here in order to make the user, we need to first hash the password of the user, and then we can make the user. Okay, so prisma.users.create, add the data, and select these values to be true. After creating the user in our database, we are going to uh, create a token for the user, and then lastly we are going to uh, return this. Okay, so this is the response that we are going to return to our front end. So I'll just explain one more time. We are getting email, password, name from our request body. We are checking if those exist. If it does not, then we are going to throw this error. If we have the email, then we are going to check if we already have that user in our database or not. If we have, then we are going to throw this error. Otherwise, we are going to hash that password and then create the user, and also create a token using the JWT sign function, and pass the user ID, user email, and the JWT token from our env secrets, and also pass the expiry time. Okay, and after that we are just going to return the user with the user data, token, and expire time. Okay, so this will be all for the register function. Now we are going to define this login function. So here I'm going to define the login function, and it will look something like this. Okay, so I'll just go through how this whole thing works. So basically we are getting again email and password from the front end in the form of request body here. Okay, and then we are checking if those are not empty. If those are not empty and present, then we are going to continue here and then find the user uh, with that email. Okay, and after that, uh, if we do not find the user, we can write invalid email or password. Okay, after that, if this is valid user, then we are going to check the password here. So the password saved in the database and the password provided by the user. If that is not uh, matching, then we are going to say that either email or password is wrong. And after that, we are going to make the token passing here as a response. So user data and the response and the expiry time. So this is the flow of the logging function. After this, we still need to make more functions here, but let's go to our client first and make the sign up and sign in page so that we know if these are working or not. Okay, and then later we can continue here. So here I can write sign up, and inside that add page.tsx, and then again inside the app add sign in, and then write page.tsx. Okay, so I'm pasting the code here for sign up page, and this is how we are going to define that basically. So first, actually, we need to install ShatCN here because we are using ShatCN components. So I'll just go here and add ShatCN, and then components installation Next.js, and then yeah, copy this and paste here. So clear. Let's go outside the server and then client and then install here. Yes. Okay. I think that is the radix maybe. Okay, so I'm going to go with the base here, I think. Whatever. Okay, so this is done. I'm going to go here and add card here. So button is also I think we need. So button, then card. Now after installing the SetCN, we have to make these two components here, but they also require lots of other components. So for now, let's comment this out and let's see how this particular page is looking right now. So go here, let's start the server first for the client side. So npm run dev. Okay, so it started and it should be on 3000. Okay, so here localhost 3000, and then I'm going to go to the login page, not login, what is the sign up page. Okay, so right now this looking like this. Okay, and we need to make these two particular components here. So before making these components, we need to first make our functions that is going to call our backend for register and login of the user. Okay, so for that, inside the lib folder, we can add auth.ts, and here we are going to define the functions, okay, that going to call our backend. So first we are going to have our API URL. So basically this is 3001 localhost and the token key. For right now it is auth token. Now after that, we are going to define the user type. So from the backend or from the schema, auth user as uh, we have auth user with the fields ID, email, name, role, image, and the provider. Okay. After that, we are going to define three functions, which are get token, set token, and clear token. So these are going to check in the local storage with this key and get the tokens from there. Okay. So we have get token, then set token, and the clear token. Now after that, we are going to define the functions for registering the user and logging the user. So this is the function for registering the user. From the form, we are going to get email, password, name, and then this will be asynchronous function. Give us a promise that after sending the request to our this particular API endpoint, it will register, and after everything is done, it will give us the response. So for this, I'm using fetch, but you can also use Axios here. Okay, so post, so method is post, and the headers, and in the headers we are providing content tab application slash JSON, and basically I'm stringify this three fields here. Okay, now after that, uh, from the response I'm getting the data and then returning the data over here. So in the data we are getting user data and that one token that we made in the backend. So this will be the login function. In this case, we only need email and password. And this time this is going to call API slash auth slash login route. Okay. And yeah, everything will be same. And we are going to return the user data and the token. So for now, this will be all in the auth.ts file. We are going to add more later for the Google authentication. Okay. And also fetching the user's data. After this, we are going to define the auth schema. Basically, we are going to use a XOR here so that we get a particular type of input from the user in our sign up form. Okay, so we can clear the terminal and write npm I XOR. Okay, and then we can and then inside the lib folder we can add one more file which will be auth schema.ts. Okay, and here we're going to import z from XOR. Okay, okay, so here we have the sign up schema and sign in schema. So here in the sign up schema, we have name, which is string and maximum character can be 100. Then email, which will be string, minimum character 1, and it has to be a email format. Okay. And then we have password, which will be a type of password schema, which we have defined here that the password should be a string. It should contain at least 8 characters. Maximum it can be 128, and also some regex properties like one lowercase, one uppercase, one number, and one special character. Okay, and then the confirm password. So here we did not uh, define this password schema, but we just want here string and minimum one character. Okay, and also after that we are going to check here with the define method that the password and the confirm password should match, otherwise user will not able to submit the form. Okay, and then above here we have sign in schema where we are only taking email and password, and we are simply defining that these to be string, minimum one character, and in the email we are specifying that this should be valid email. Okay, and then we are also exporting the type of our schema here. So we can export like this: export type sign in input z dot input and type of sign in schema, and same for the sign up schema. Okay, so this is the auth schema, and now after that we are going to make our sign up form. So let's go to the sign up page, and now we are going to uncomment this and uncomment this. So this is in the components and then auth. So I'm going to write auth and then sign up form. Sign up form dot tsx. Okay, so first here we are going to import our libraries and components. Now here you can see, we'll do that later. Okay, so he'll see that we need a lot of things here, and I think this is a schema. Yeah, so we need to install separator input and hook form and resolver of Zod to the hook form. So let's install. So we can write this npx section at the latest add input and the separator. Okay, separator. Okay, and after that we need to install the React hook form. Yes. Okay, it's done. Let's clear the terminal, and now we need to install React hook form. So npm I React hook form, React hook form. So this is good, I think. Yeah. Now we need to install the resolver as well. So let's go here, and I can write hook form Zod resolver, and it will give me this. Okay, so I can install this package, and then we have to make this Google icon. So I can here I can make another file that would be Google icon. So basically here write Google icon dot tsx, and this is just svg. Okay, so export function, and this is just svg. You guys can copy that from my GitHub as well. Okay, so now let's go here and uh, Google icon. Yeah, so there's no error now, so we can start with our component. So we can write export function sign up form, and this should be function. Inside that we are going to have the router, okay, to navigate the user, and then one use state basically to set the errors here. Okay, and now after that I'm going to paste the JSX here. Okay, so this will be the JSX that I'm going to use here. Basically uh, this is the error that we are going to show on the top of the form if there's any error. Okay, and then we have name, and then the email and the password. After that we have confirm password, and then the submit button. After that we have a separator, and then the Google Auth URL. For now I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to add a simple href to the home page. Okay, and let's also comment this out. Okay, so this will be the form. Right now this has many errors, but after we add all the functions, these all errors will be gone. So the first we are going to have on submit function, okay, which will give it to the handle submit function of the hook form. And here initially we're making the submit error to empty string, and after that we are going to get the token from the registered user. Okay, so we are using this register user function from the auth.ts. After we register the user, we get the token. After that we are going to set the token to our local storage, and then push the user to the main home page. Okay, and then we are going to use the hook form here. Okay, so this is the use form from the React hook form that we are going to use. The type is sign up input that we are getting from the auth schema, and then we are using the Zod resolver here, and initial default value will be this, all will be empty string, and here we are going to have the register function, handle submit, and the form state, in which we are going to have the error and is submitting uh, state. Okay, so now after this, this particular form is ready, excluding the Google Auth. Okay, So now let's save and let's see how this looks. Start the server again, npm run dev, and here I'll just start the server again, refresh the page. Okay, I need to again here in the sign up page I need to actually save this. Okay, so this will be the form that we're going to use here, but before using this we need to make the routes first. Okay, so again we are going to go to the server and make the routes. So here in the src folder in the server we are going to make a folder named routes, and inside that we are going to make auth routes.ts, and here I'm going to import the router from express, and then I'm going to import the everything from the auth controller. So import everything from as auth controller from controllers slash auth controller. Okay, and after that I'm also going to import the auth middleware, but we have not made yet, so let's make those as well. So in the src folder I'm going to make a new folder named middleware, and inside that we are going to have auth middleware. So inside the middleware we are going to have auth middleware .ts. Okay, so first we are going to do the imports. For the imports we are going to import request, response and next function from the express, and then JWT from JSON web token and all the environment variables. Okay, and then I'm also exporting the JWT payload here, which will be user ID and the email string. Okay, now after that I'm going to define two functions, auth middleware and optional auth middleware. So I'll explain both one by one. So here we are first defining the auth middleware function where we're getting the request, uh, which will be a type of request and the user payload. Along with that, we're also having the parameter of response and next function. Okay, so from the request, we are getting the auth header, and from the auth header, we are getting the token from the front end. So if the token is not available, we are going to say missing or invalid token. And then here we are going to verify the token coming from the front end with our JWT secret from our environment variable. Okay, and after that it attaches the payload to the user object, and then any controller will know that which user is calling, and after that we are calling the next function. So this is for the pages that require authentication. Okay, after that we are going to define another auth middleware which is for the pages that do not require any authentication, like home page or any other page. Okay, so this is the optional auth middleware, and the parameters are the same here as well. We are checking with the auth header here as well, and checking if we have any token that starts with the BL. And if we do not find, then we are going to go with the next function, because we are allowing the user to come to the home page. So this function is for not giving any error like 401 when the token is missing and the user can visit that particular routes. Okay, so we are going to use these both auth middleware functions in our routes. So again, let's go to our route here, auth routes, and then we are going to continue with this auth middleware. So for this particular route we are going to use the auth middleware, but for a home page like products, seeing, and other routes we are going to use the optional middleware. Okay, where any user can see. So now after this we are going to make the router basically. Router is equals to router, and then we can write router dot post register, and then provide the auth controller dot register. Okay, and similarly let's do for login as well. So router dot post slash login, and then provide the auth controller dot login. Okay, and after that we are going to just export the router, export default router. Okay, so we're done here for now, and let's go to the app.ts, and here we are going to import the auth routes. So auth routes from dot slash routes slash auth routes, and then we are going to use that over here. But before that, let's add the calls here. So I'm going to import the calls here as well. Import calls from calls. Okay, and this is saying I think we need types as well, so I'm going to install that as well. npm calls types, not this. Okay, so after this install, I'm going to use the routes here. So for that we can use like this. Okay, so we can write app dot use, and then the initial value will be API slash auth, and then provide the auth route. Okay, so this way we'll be able to hit this particular route, API slash auth slash, let's say, login or register. Okay, okay, so we were getting type error, and I was actually installing the types inside client instead of server. So install the types inside the server, and after that uh, we will be good to go. So start board the server of 3001, and then the client on 3000. Okay, and pass the JSON here. So express dot JSON, and also add app dot use express URL encoded extended true. Okay, so now after this, run both servers and let's try if this is working or not. So here I'm going to write my details here. Okay, and then create account. Okay, so I am getting redirect to the home page, and let's see on the database, refresh this. So here you can see one user has been created. Okay, so the register is working. Now we can work on the login functionality of the user based on the credentials. Okay, so now we are going to work on our sign-in page. So our sign-in page will look the same, almost same like the sign-up page. Only we have to make the sign-in form here. And for now, I'm going to comment this out. When we are signed in with the user, then we are going to make this header. Okay. So let's go inside our components auth, and here I can make sign-in form .tsx. This sign-in form is almost similar to the sign-up form. Only few things are changed here. So this will be schema. So as you can see, all imports are good here. There is no error, and I'll just explain. So these are the auth errors that we are going to give show when we try to log in. So we have OAuth not configured, missing code, invalid state, and all that errors. Okay. After that, we have our function. Inside we have router, using the use router, and after that we are also using the search params here to get the tokens from our URLs. This will be used when we sign in from the Google OAuth. Okay, and then we have our errors here. Okay, and then after that we are using the use effect here to get the error code from the search param and setting the error to our error state here, and this will run whenever the search params or the route changes. Okay, after that we are using the hook form here, and this is the on submit function that we are going to call here. Basically we are getting the token from this login function, which eventually gets the token from our backend. Okay, and then after that it also stores the token in our local uh, storage with the set token method, and then after that we are pushing the user to the home page, and also we are refreshing the route. Okay, and then if there is any error we are going to set the error to the set submit error. Okay, and then we have the form over here. So this is just simple form where we are using the sightseeing card, and we are showing the at the top of the form. Then we have the email, password, and also a button to forget the password. Okay, and at the footer we have a separator and also a state that we are going to show that we are signing in or just signing in the button, and we have a separator here in which we are writing or continue with, and then we have our Google auth. So for now I'm just going to remove this, and for now I'm going to comment this out. Okay, so this is the sign in form that we are going to use here. Let's save this, and here save that as well, and let's see how this looks. So I'm going to go to the sign in. Okay, and this is the sign in form. Okay, and this icon should be left side, so I can move this here. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like, our sign in form. And yeah, let's try to sign in with our user. So this is the email, and this is the password. Let's sign in. Okay, so I am getting redirected to the home page, so that's mean it is working. It's just this error, so I can comment this out for now. Okay, so this is working, and now we need a way to show the logged user. Okay, so here you can see that we have auth token, and this is the value. Okay, so now we can work on our store header. So in the components, make one more folder, name layout, and then inside that make the file name store header.tsx. Okay, and now I'm going to paste the code here and just comment out the things that we are not going to use here. Okay, like use cart, use chat bar and search bar. We are going to implement those later, so that is why I'm just going to comment those out first, and I'm going to comment this as well, and this as well, and this as well. Okay, okay, so the only thing that we need to implement here is this header auth, where we are going to show the user profile icon. So we need to make that inside the auth folder. It should be a file, so header auth dot tsx. Now to make this, we first need to go again to our server and create the routes and the controller for getting the user info from our database. So I can go to the controllers here and make those functions. So inside the auth controller, the first function that we are going to make is me function, which fetches the data of the user from our database. And the first line is the payload. Basically, we are writing this as because the request may contain user info that we are passing through our middleware. So if you go to the auth middleware, here you can see that we are in the request, we are adding user info, which we are getting from our JWT token after we verify the token. So after we get the user info in our payload, from the payload, we are getting the user ID, and then we are selecting these parameters that we want from our database, and we are using find unique method over here. Okay, and if we do not find any user, we are just going to uh, say that user not found, and after that we are uh, sending the response in the form of JSON like this. Okay, now the next function will be update me. Basically in this we are allowing only name to be updated. So we are getting the user in our payload, and if we do not get any payload, then then the user is not authenticated. After that, we are getting the name from our request body, and then making a updates object, which we are going to pass to the Prisma here. So here we are checking if the name is a string. Then we are going to trim the white spaces, and or we are going to assign this null if nothing is provided. Okay, and after that we are going to check the length of our object here, and if it is 0, then in that case we're just going to find the user and return the user over here. And if we don't find the user, then we are going to just say the user not found, and then we just return the function. Okay, so basically we are doing no updates in this particular scenario. And if we have something in our update object, then we are going to pass to the Prisma and then update the user, and then send the updated user. Okay, so this is to update the name of the user, and lastly we are going to make a function to update the password. Okay, so this is the update password method or function. So again we are getting the user from the payload, then we are getting the current password and the new password from the request body. Okay, and then uh, we are going to check if there's new password or current password is there or not. If any of these are missing, then we are going to throw this error. As you might have noticed that right now I'm asking for the current and new password. That means the user must know the current password here. To actually implement forgot password, we have to implement email service here, which we might do later in the course if there's any requirement of that. But right now we are just going to update the password. Okay, so we are going to check for both current and new password. New password should be greater than 8 characters, and then after that I'm going to find the user. If user is not found, then I'm going to say user not found. Now in this piece of code we are checking if the user is from the Google Auth or not, and also we are checking if the user have password or not. So the user may not have password if the database is migrated. So in that case we are checking for this, and if the user is coming from Google Auth, then we are going to check for this. And in these both conditions, we are not going to allow the user to change the password because it is not possible. Now, after that, we are going to check if the current password and the user password that we have in the database is matching. And then after that, we are going to hash the new password and then update to our database. Okay, so this is the update password method. Okay, so with this, we are done with our controller part. Now let's go inside our routes and make the routes. Okay, so these are the three more routes that we are going to add here. So this is to get slash me. This is for patch slash me, which is to update the name, and then to update the password. Now we can save this, and in the app.ts we do not have to do anything. Okay, now we can go above and make header auth component. So inside the auth we already have a header auth. Now let's make this. So this is how the header auth component will look like. So I've just pasted the code here, and yeah, you can do the same for my GitHub. Now we have to install these components from setcn. So I can write npx setcn add the latest add, and then it will be avatar and the drop down menu. Okay, and then Okay, inside the libauth we also need to make this function, but let's install this first. Okay, and let's go and make these functions inside our libauth. Okay, so here we have only added the register and login function, so we need to add a fetch the user data function, update the username, and update the password function. So first we have this fetch me function. So this will be a asynchronous function. We are getting the token from the local storage. Then if the token is not available, then we are just going to return. So there will be no user. So after that, if we have the token, then we are going to call this API and pass this token in a side header as bearer and token. Now this will go to our middleware. Our middleware will check the token if this is correct token, and then send that to our this particular API route where our controllers will handle, and then send the request. So if response is not okay, we are going to get null. Otherwise, we are going to get our data. And in similar way, we can define the other two functions. Okay, so these two are the functions. So this is update profile function where we are only providing the name, taking the token, and then calling this API endpoint with these headers, and then getting the data. And for the update password, we are getting current password and new password. Again, getting the token from our local storage, and then again calling this API endpoint. Okay, so these two are similar. Now, after that, we can save this and go back to the header route. And now there is no problem. Now let's go below. Now this is the function to get the initial, that means the first letter of the username, and that we can display on the user profile icon. Okay, if the user has signed in with the credentials. So we are just trimming the user and then getting the first letter. So this is simple function. You guys can go through that, and after that we are defining the header route component here. So we have router, then path name that lets you read the current URL path name. Okay, and then we have user state where we're going to save the user's info, and then loading state, and then we have use effect. Okay, so based on the path name we are going to get the token. So it will run based on the path name, so it will, whenever we are going to change the path, it will run again and again, and it will get the token. Okay, and then if the token is not found, it will set the user null and set the loading false. Okay, and then return this whole use effect. Okay, if we found the token, then it is going to set the loading to true, and it is going to call the fetch me function and then set the user to the user state, and then we have some catch and finally. Okay, now after that we also have handle logout function, basically clear the token from our local storage and push us to our sign in page, and then we are going to refresh the page. The state is loading, and we are going to show a simple animated loading icon. And if we do not find the user, then we are going to have the sign in button. Let's remove this or comment this out. I don't know why this is giving errors, but for now I'm going to comment this. Okay, and then before writing our JSX, I'm going to call this function to get the initials of our uh, name. Okay, and then we have our drop down. So whenever user clicks on the profile avatar here that we have used here, so we are going to open the drop down. So in this we are going to use the user image if we have, otherwise we are going to fall back to our initials. So this is the drop down action or trigger thing, and then we have the content. So we are going to show the user email, then profile setting, and my orders, seller dashboard, and also logout button. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to show in our uh, drop down. This will be all for the header art component, and let's go to the store header and then import here. Now let's go below, and we are going to comment this as well because we have to yet made it. So this will be all for the store header component, and now I can go inside the sign in form, not here, in our sign in pages. So sign up pages, I can comment this out. I can uncomment this as well, and here as well. Okay, and here as well. Okay, and also I'm going to use this store header in our uh, home page. So let's import that here. Import store header, and let's use that over here. And now let's save, and let's see if we are getting our user here or not. So we need to start the server, npm run dev, refresh the page. Okay, as you can see, it is saying SA, which is Sattu, and we are getting some error. Let's go and fix that. I think the problem is with the incorrect setcn. So I installed the base UI, I think, but it should be Radix UI. Let's go here, and I'm going to basically remove all this. Okay, move to trash, and also I'm going to go to the package.json, and I'm going to remove the setcn from here because we are going to use Redis base UI instead of base UI, where we can use as child, so we will not get this kind of errors. Okay, so I'll just save this, and anything else, I think I also need to remove this. Okay, so I'm just going to install again, and this will be Radix and anything. Okay, so now we have component again, and everything is good. Now I'm going to install all the components again. So everything is added now. So there's no error, there's no error, there's no error, there's no error here as well. Let's run again, npm run dev. And if I go to this header auth, you can see that now as a child, it is not giving an errors. So I can remove the comments from here. Okay, now let's go here, refresh the page. And we also need to add one more thing in our global.css. So here, instead of this, we are going to use this. So these two are same, just I'm using this fallback uh, fonts here. And now below this, in the body, I'm going to add the font. So where is the body? I think uh, mm, here. Okay, so here I'll apply this. So now you can see that our fonts is here, and now if I click on this, there's no error, and I'm getting my name, my email, and the profile, setting my orders, seller dashboard, and logout. So if I click on the logout, I'll be redirected to the sign in page. Okay, so React children dot only expected to receive only single direct component. Okay, so in the sign in form, I think I made some mistake here. Okay, yeah, this should be inside this. So earlier, due to the CSS issue, I moved out of this, and because of that, in the button we had two uh, basically React children, and I also enabled this, so it should only have one child. So now it should work, and now the CSS is also good, so there's no problem. So I can again log in, wait, sign in, and this is working. Okay, so now the sign in based on the credentials is good, and now we are going to work on our Google Auth authentication. Okay, and this will be very simple because we are already done with our most of the things, and yeah, we only need to define some more functions and get the keys from Google console. So for that, we first need to go to the server, and inside the config, uh, you need to add this. If already added, then after that we can go to the controllers, and here we can make the functions. Okay, and to get this keys, you can go to the Google Cloud Console and make a project here, and then do the auth consent, and then you will get the keys. Okay, so this, okay, you will get a web page something like this, where you have to add the authorized JavaScript origin and also your callback URL. Okay, after that you will get your client ID and your secret ID. Okay, so after that you can go to the auth controller, and here we can make the functions. Okay, so the first function that we are going to make is Google redirect. So when user clicks on the sign in Google, we're going to use this function uh, through our API route. So what here we are going to check if we have both keys, secret and client, and if we have both keys, then we are going to go ahead and make a state. Basically, this is a key that we are going to make using our secret, expire time, and also a random value. Okay, so making the state, we have redirect URL, which is the same one that we gave to the Google. Okay, and also we are defining the params and passing to this particular URL along with the params. Now in the params, we are passing the client ID, this redirect URI, which Google going to check if this redirect URI and that we have given to the Google is same or not. And then in the response type, we want code, and we also defining the scope, what information we want from the Google. We want OpenID, email, and profile. Then passing the state here, which we are going to get back in the callback URL, access type offline, and prompt consent. Okay, so we are consenting the user. Now after that, when users sign in with the Google, Google will uh, send to our callback URL with these params. Okay, so now we need to make a function so that we can handle that callback and get the information from the Google. Okay, so this is the callback function, and again here we are going to check the client ID and secret ID, and then from the query, from the callback URL, from the query we are going to get code, state, and error. We are going to check if there is any error, and also we are going to check if we have both code and state or not. After that, we are going to verify our state with our JWT secret, and if there's any error, then we are going to redirect the user to our client URL with this uh, error. And after that, we are going to again make the redirect URI, and after that we are going to do a post request to this particular URL to get the information about the user. So in the header we are going to have content type this, and in the body we are going to make a new URL search param in which we are going to pass the code, client ID, secret ID, redirect URI, and grant type, which is authorization code. And after that, if the response is not okay, then we are going to get the error from the response, and then redirect the user to the client URL, and then with this particular error. And if the response is okay, then we are going to get the tokens from the response. So the token coming here is in the form of this. So we are defining the type access token. From the tokens, we are going to get the access token here. So again, we are going to call this particular URL and pass the access token in our header, and from that we are going to get the information about the user. So profile will have ID, email, name, picture, and verified email. And after that we are going to check if there's already a user with this particular email. So we can check here, find first, and provider is the Google, and then profile ID, and also the profile email. Now if the user does not exist in our database, we are going to make new user in our database with all these fields. Okay, and if it already exists in our database with this provider name, then we are going to just update the information in our database. Okay, and then store that user in our variable user. Okay, and after that we are just going to make a new token jwt.sign with this user id, user email, our secret, and token expiry time. And lastly, we are going to redirect the user to this particular URL, which is client URL. And to handle this particular URL, we are going to make a page name uh, inside our app, which is auth/callback. And from that, we are going to get the token. So this is the flow. Okay. So I'll just explain one more time. This is when user clicks on the sign in, we create the state. These are the params that we create, and then we drag the user to the Google Auth. After user signing in the Google send back the user to this callback URL from where we are going to get all these things. We're going to verify everything. Again, we are going to make a post call to this particular URL with all these uh, headers and body, and we are going to get the user info. Okay, and then we are going to store the user in our database. Okay, so now with this done, let's make the route for the Google. Okay, so these two routes we are going to make here, and everything is done in our server. Now we have to work on our front end part. Okay, so now let's go to the front end part, and here inside auth.ts we are going to uh, define this function. Basically, this is to return this particular API route, and then this will be all inside this auth.ts file. Now we can go and let's go to the sign up form, and here we can add that function, get Google auth URL, and then we can add it here. Okay, similarly we can copy this and paste here as well. Okay, and let's import that here, get Google auth URL, and that's it. And after that we need to make a page here which will be auth/callback. Okay, inside the callback we can make page.tsx. Okay, so this is the page where after signing user will be redirected, and from this page we are going to get the token and then save it to our local storage, and then lastly we are going to redirect the user to the home page. So this is the code for this particular page. Here we are importing use effect, use state, use router, use search params. So basically this lets you read the current URL, search params. Okay, and from the params we are going to get the token, and then the set token function. Okay, now inside that we are defining a route to route the user to the home page, then search param, and also the state. Inside the state we have loading, done, and error, and by default it will be loading. Okay, so from the search params we are going to get a token, and if we have token, then we are going to set the token to our local storage and set the status to done, and then we are going to replace the URL for the home page and then refresh the page. Okay, and in our JSX we just have these states. Okay, now let's save here and let's test if this is working or not. So refresh the page. I'm currently signed out. I'm going to sign in with the Google. Continue, and here you can say we saw the redirected status, and now here you can see I am signed in here. On clicking, this is the name, my email, and profile, and everything else. In my database you can see here that I have the new user. Again, password is null, we have image, and the provider is Google. Okay, So with that, we are done with our authentication part. Everything is done here. And next we are going to work on our seller onboarding.